It was almost midnight when Daniel finally finished work. The sky was dark and heavy. The streets were empty. His small car moved slowly on the wet road, the wipers sliding back and forth, pushing away the cold rain. Daniel was a quiet man. He lived alone in a small house outside the city. He didn't talk much, didn't have many friends. After his parents passed away, his world became smaller. Work, home, sleep. Repeat. That night, like always, he was driving home on the long, lonely highway. The rain made it hard to see. The streetlights were few. The road ahead looked empty until he noticed something strange. A figure. Someone was standing by the side of the road, waving. At first he thought it was just his eyes playing tricks. But as he drove closer, the figure became clear. It was a woman. She stood beside a broken-down car, her long coat soaking wet. Her hand kept waving. She didn't move much, just stood still, waiting. Daniel's hands tightened on the steering wheel. He slowed down. Then he hesitated. He knew all the warnings don't stop for strangers at night. It could be a trap, just call the police. She didn't look like trouble. She looked scared, lost, cold. Something inside him told him to stop, so he pulled his car to the side and turned on the emergency lights. The woman took a step back, unsure at first. Then, as Daniel got out of the car, she lowered her hand. "Are you okay?" Daniel asked. Her face was pale. Her wet hair stuck to her cheeks. She looked young, maybe late 20s. Her lips were shaking. "My tire, it burst. My phone died. I've been here a long time." Her voice was soft but shaky, like she had been crying. Daniel nodded and looked at her car. One of the tires was flat, completely gone. "Do you have a spare tire?" he asked. She hesitated. "I think so. I don't know how to change it." He opened her trunk. There was a small spare tire inside, along with a rusty jack. "I can help. It won't take long." The woman looked behind her. Her eyes scanned the trees, then the road, then behind Daniel. "Are you alone?" she asked, her voice low. Daniel raised an eyebrow. "Yeah. Why?" She didn't answer. Just gave a small, nervous smile. "No reason, thank you." "Really?" He crouched down and started working on the tire. The rain didn't stop. It got heavier. Right. Daniel didn't speak much while he worked. He noticed her shoes were muddy. Coat was expensive looking, but torn near the sleeve. She kept checking her surroundings. Every time a car passed in the distance, her body flinched. Something wasn't right. "Are you sure you're okay?" Daniel asked again. She paused and whispered, "Yes. I just need to leave this place." Daniel glanced at her, but she looked away quickly. 10 minutes later, he finished fixing the tire. "There," he said, standing up and brushing water off his sleeves. "It's done. Just drive slowly till you get to town." The woman nodded, eyes still scanning the dark road. "Thank you," she said. "Thank you so much." She opened her car door quickly. Daniel raised his hand slightly. "Do you need me to follow you? Just in case?" "No," she said fast. "No, I'll be fine." She got inside, turned on the engine, and drove off into the night without saying her name. Daniel watched the red taillights disappear into the dark rain. He stood there for a while. The road felt strange, empty but not peaceful. Something about her eyes, her voice, her fear. She wasn't just cold or stranded. She was running from something. Daniel got back into his car. His seat was wet from his coat. He turned the heat up. His hands were still cold. The drive home was quiet again, but this time his thoughts weren't. Why was she so afraid? Why did she ask if he was alone? Or what was she looking out for? When Daniel reached his house, he turned off the engine and sat in the car for a few minutes. The rain had become a soft drizzle. The small house looked the same as always. Dark, peaceful, quiet, but something in him felt uneasy. He went inside, changed into dry clothes, and made some tea. He kept thinking about her. The look in her eyes, the way her voice shook. She looked like someone who had lost something or someone. Before sleeping, he looked out his window. Nothing there, just rain and street silence. He closed the curtain and went to bed. But outside, A black SUV passed slowly down the street. No lights, no sound. It stopped for a moment in front of Daniel's house, then drove away. The next morning, Daniel woke up feeling strange, not scared. Just curious. He made coffee and looked out the window. A car was parked across the street. It was black, big, tinted windows, engine off, just sitting there. He squinted, waited expecting someone to step out. But no, one did. The car just sat still. After a while, he went outside with his coffee mug and looked again. Still no movement. He thought of the woman again. Then he laughed. To himself. Maybe it's just a neighbor's guest. But that thought didn't help. He finished his coffee, went back inside, and closed the curtains. That night, he saw the black SUV. Again, same spot, same silence. But this time, the engine was running. Daniel didn't sleep well that night. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the woman's pale face again, her shaking hands, her quiet voice, and the black SUV outside his house. That car wasn't normal. He got up 3 times during the night to check the window. Each time, the SUV was still there, not moving, not leaving, just sitting. It was like someone inside was watching him. At 3:17 a.m., the engine turned on for a few minutes, then stopped. Daniel watched closely. Still no door opened. The lights came on. It was just alive but quiet. Something about it sent chills down his spine. The next morning, Daniel looked out the window again. The SUV was gone. He let out a slow breath. Maybe it was nothing. Maybe someone was just lost or resting. But when he walked to his mailbox, he noticed something strange. Footprints, deep ones, in the wet soil. Right near his front door, he bent down. They weren't his. They'd only stepped. Near the mailbox. These prints came from the side of the house, then circled back. And worse, his mailbox was already open, empty. He was sure he hadn't opened it last night. Daniel looked around. No one outside. It's just the morning silence. He closed the mailbox slowly and walked back to his door, trying not to look nervous. Inside, he locked the door and checked all the windows. Then he made coffee with shaky hands. He sat down and opened his laptop. Maybe he should report this, but what would he even say? Hi, a car is watching me. Also, a woman I helped looked scared. No one would take him seriously, and something else held him back. A strange voice inside his head kept whispering, "Don't tell anyone yet. Just watch." So he watched. By the afternoon, Daniel went back to his normal routine. He read a book, prepared. A broken lamp, tried to relax, but his eyes kept drifting to the window, and at exactly 7:06 p.m., the SUV returned. Same one, same spot, still no one inside. Or if there was, the windows were too dark to tell. Daniel stared at it for almost an hour. Then, he did something brave or maybe foolish. He stepped outside. The air was cold. His breath came out in little clouds. The SUV just sat there, silent, calm. Daniel walked down his driveway and crossed the street slowly. Still no movement when he reached the car. Stood beside the driver's window and knocked. Tap, 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 nothing. He knocked again. A little louder. Still. Silence. He bent slightly to peek inside, but the windows were pitch black. He couldn't see a thing. Then, engine started. Daniel stepped back quickly. The SUV slowly rolled forward, smooth and quiet. It didn't speed away. It didn't make a sound. It just turned the corner and vanished. Daniel stood there in the dark, feeling more confused than ever. That night, he called his friend Mike. Mike was one of the few people Daniel still kept in touch with. They had gone to college together. Mike was loud, funny, and didn't believe in ghosts or weird stuff. When Daniel explained what was happening, Mike laughed. A woman? A black SUV? Sounds like you helped a spy or something. Serious, Daniel said. I don't know why, but something's wrong. She didn't even give her name. She looked scared like someone was after her. And now someone's after you? Which Mike chuckled. Maybe she dropped your number and her crazy ex-boyfriend found it? Daniel didn't laugh. Mike's voice changed. Okay, okay. Listen. Keep your doors locked. Put up a camera if you can. If the car comes back tomorrow, call me. I'll drive over. Daniel nodded. But after the call, he didn't feel better. He felt worse. The next day was quiet. Too quiet. The SUV didn't show up in the morning, didn't show up in the afternoon. But just as the sun dipped below the trees, there it was. Same black car, same street, same silence. This time, Daniel didn't go outside. He stayed inside, lights off, watching from behind the curtain, and then something changed. A person stepped out of the SUV, just for a second. A dark figure, tall, wearing a black coat. They walked around the back of the SUV, then looked straight at Daniel's house. Even from a distance, Daniel could feel it. They knew he was watching. Then the figure got back inside, and the car left again. Daniel didn't sleep at all that night. The next morning, Daniel stepped outside to get fresh air and found something under his doormat. A note, folded, wet at the edges. He opened it with shaking hands. 4 words were written in black. Ink, you shouldn't have helped her. Daniel dropped the note. His heart was racing, his head spun. What did this mean? Was the woman in danger? Was he in danger now? Who were these people? He ran back inside and locked the door. His hands couldn't stop shaking. He picked up his phone and called Mike, but Mike didn't answer. He called again. Voicemail. 30 minutes later, Mike called back. His voice sounded different. Daniel. I think I saw that car too. Daniel froze. What? It was outside my house last night. Parked across the street. It's the same black SUV. Same still engine. Same look. And this morning, my garage door was open. Daniel swallowed hard. It's not just me, he whispered. No, Mike said.
Nice.
Someone's watching both of us. And Daniel knew, deep inside, this was only the beginning. Daniel barely left the window that day. He kept peeking between the curtains, waiting, hoping the black SUV wouldn't return. But deep down, he knew better. It wasn't over. The note was still on his kitchen table. You shouldn't have helped her. Those 5 words felt like a warning, a threat, or both. His stomach stayed tight, like a knot that wouldn't loosen. His hands shook every time his phone buzzed. He kept checking in with Mike. Mike was scared too. Man, don't know what this is, Mike said. During a call, but we're part of something now. You helped the wrong person. Daniel didn't respond, because he wasn't sure if helping that woman was wrong. But it had definitely changed something. That night, the wind howled through the trees. Clouds covered the moon. The whole street looked like a black and white photo, still empty. Cold Daniel sat in the living room with all the lights off, just watching. 11:12 p.m. Still nothing. 11:46 p.m. He saw movement. It was back. The black SUV rolled silently to its usual spot across from his house. No headlights, no sound. Just smooth, slow motion. Then stopped. The engine stayed off. But this time, Daniel didn't move. He just stared through the curtain, watching. Then he saw it. A shadow inside. This was the first time he was sure. Someone was sitting behind the wheel. Not moving. Not even looking around. Just sitting, watching him. Daniel felt frozen. His heartbeat echoed in his ears. He grabbed his phone, opened the camera app. Zoomed in, nothing but black windows. He took a photo anyway. Then suddenly, the SUV's headlights flashed. Just once. A single bright flash that lit up the street for a second. And hit Daniel's face through the window. He dropped to the floor, breathing hard. Whoever was inside now knew he was watching, and they wanted him to know that he stayed on the floor for a long time, afraid to move, afraid to even look again. When he finally stood, he peeked through the curtain once more. The SUV was gone. Again, like a ghost. The next morning, Daniel found something new. Not a note, Not a message, but footprints. Again, leading up to his front door. And this time his door was unlocked. He always locked it at night. Always his heart pounded as he pushed. It opened slowly. Inside, nothing looked broken. Nothing stolen. Everything was in place, except one thing. There was a photo on his kitchen table. A printed photo of the woman. The same one he helped on the road. Wet hair, tired eyes, that broken coat. But in this photo, she wasn't by her car. She was inside a warehouse, surrounded by men in black suits. One man stood behind her, holding her. By the arm, she looked terrified. Daniel stared at the photo, breath caught in his throat. Who were these people? Why give him this photo? Was she alive? And most important, what had he gotten himself into? Daniel grabbed the photo and left the house. He drove straight to Mike's apartment. He didn't call, just showed up and banged on the door. Mike opened. It fast? You okay? Mike asked, seeing his face. Daniel just held up the photo. Mike took it, eyes narrowing. Who gave you this? I don't know, Daniel said. Someone entered my house while I was sleeping. Mike shook his head. This is bad, man. Really bad. We're not dealing with normal people. Daniel sat on the couch. I think she was running from them. Mike nodded slowly. And they think you're helping her, or maybe they think she gave you something. Daniel's heart skipped. Hadn't thought of that. What if they thought she passed him a message? A phone? A secret, did she? He thought hard, replayed that night. Her words, her eyes. That moment when she whispered, he's watching me. It wasn't just fear. She was being hunted. Mike opened his laptop. Let's try something. He pulled up a search engine and typed the date Daniel saw her. Then, woman missing highway. Accident. They scrolled through the results, 3 pages in. Mike stopped. Wait, look at this. It's an article. Missing person report. Evelyn M. Last seen near Highway 39. Daniel clicked on it. There she was. Same woman. Full name. Evelyn Moore. Age 28. Last seen 3 nights ago. Witnesses reported she might have been trying to flag down cars. One man told police he saw her get into a dark van. Daniel's blood ran cold. That man was him. Only it wasn't a van. It was her own car, and she didn't get in. He had just helped her. Mike leaned back. They're blaming someone else. They don't know it was you, yet Daniel said softly. Mike looked serious now. We need to tell the police. Daniel shook his head and say what? That someone left a photo in my house? That a car keeps watching me? Ew. Think I'm crazy. Mike was quiet. Then he said something Daniel hadn't expected. I think you need to find her. Daniel looked at him. What? I mean it. If she's alive, she knows what's happening. What? And if these people keep coming after you, she might be the only one who can explain why. Daniel's chest tightened. Where would I even start? Mike thought for a moment. Back at the place you saw her. The next day, Daniel returned to that lonely road. Highway 39. Same turn. Same broken fence. Same trees. The rain was gone now. The road was dry and quiet. He parked where he had that night. Stepped out of the car and walked toward the spot where her car had been. There was nothing left. No tire marks. No broken glass. No sign of anything. But something caught his eye in the grass beside the road. A piece of fabric. He bent down and picked it up. It was wet and muddy. But it matched the coat the woman Evelyn had worn. Daniel turned it over, and stitched into the fabric was a small white label, with 3 numbers written in black marker. 432, Daniel stood up slowly, looking around. The wind moved through the trees gently, but the road behind him was empty. No cars, no people, no sound, just silence until a car door closed. Daniel spun around. His car was still there, but now, right behind it was the black SUV. Daniel couldn't move. The black SUV sat behind his car like it had been waiting for him all day. It didn't rush forward. It didn't flash its lights. It just sat there, still, heavy, watching. Daniel stepped back slowly, holding the piece of cloth in one hand, the one with the number 432 written on it. His mind was racing, but his legs were frozen. The SUV door opened. Just a crack. Daniel saw a hand, dark gloves. It's no skin. Then the door closed again. No one stepped out. No voice. No sound. The engine turned on, and the SUV reversed slowly, tires crunching on gravel. Then, just like before, it disappeared into the trees without a single screech or honk. Gone. Gone. Daniel stood there in silence. His heart beat like a hammer in his chest. What did they want from him? Why follow him here, and why leave again? He got into his car, locking the doors fast, and started the engine. He didn't look in the mirrors, didn't want to see anything behind him. He drove straight to Mike's apartment. Mike opened the door fast. You okay? Daniel didn't answer. He walked in, sat down, and dropped the fabric on the table. Mike picked it up. What's this? Found it near the place I helped Evelyn, Daniel said. Same coat, same color. It has a number stitched in for 132. Mike squinted. It's like a uniform label. Prison, maybe? Military? Or some secret program? Daniel looked up. What if she escaped something? Like a facility? And those men, whoever they are, want her back? Mike didn't laugh this time. Instead, he nodded slowly. That would explain the SUV and the note. They're trying to scare you, or make sure you don't talk. Daniel leaned forward. But what if I already know too much? Later that night, Daniel returned home. The street was quiet. The SUV wasn't there. Still, he didn't feel safe. He double-checked all the locks, closed every curtain, turned on the porch light. Then he saw it. Something on his welcome mat. Again, he opened the door carefully. Another note, folded thin. Left. Where he would step on it. His fingers shook as he picked it up. He opened it slowly only. One line was written this time. You're not the only one we're watching. Daniel froze. What did that mean? Was it about Mike? Was it a warning? Or was it about someone else? He stepped outside and looked up and down the street. Nothing, just darkness. In silence, but he knew. They were close. He didn't sleep that night. He stayed on the couch. Lights off. Watching the window, midnight passed. 2 a.m., 3:15. No car, no sound. But at 3:41 a.m., his front door rattled. Once. Then silence. He held his breath. Nothing else happened. But in the morning, he found the third note. Not outside this time. Inside. On his kitchen table, it read, You left your window open, Daniel. Felt cold all over. He ran to every window in the house. All were locked except one, his bedroom, the one facing the backyard. He was sure it had been locked. Now it was open just an inch, but it was enough to tell him that someone had been inside his house again. He called Mike, hands shaking. They were inside, he said. They left a note. They were watching everything I do. Mike didn't hesitate. Pack a bag, come stay with me. Daniel did. He packed fast, just clothes, his laptop, the photo of Evelyn, and the notes. He didn't want to stay in that house another second. When he got to Mike's place, he locked the door behind him and didn't let go of his backpack all night. The next day, Mike tried to distract him. You said the cloth had a number, right? 432? Daniel nodded. I checked around, Mike said, opening his laptop. There's an old warehouse building near that highway. Guess what it's called? Daniel leaned forward. Zone 432. Daniel's breath caught. What kind of building is it? Mike looked at him. It used to be government property. Then it was shut down. No reason given. There's no official record of what they were doing there. It's not even on Google Maps anymore. Daniel felt dizzy. That's where Evelyn was? That's where she escaped from. Mike nodded. That's where the SUV wants to take her back to. Suddenly, Daniel's phone buzzed. A text, no number. Just, turn on Channel 7 now. Daniel turned on the TV. Channel 7. Breaking news. A headline scrolled across the bottom. Unidentified woman escapes. Hospital possible link to government case. They showed a blurry video of a woman running across a street. Her hair wet. Her coat torn. It was Evelyn. She was alive. On the run again, Daniel sat frozen. Mike stared at the screen. They're hunting her like an animal, Daniel whispered. She's trying to find help. Mike looked at him. No, she's trying to find you. Daniel didn't sleep again that night. He kept thinking about the notes, the SUV, and Evelyn. Then, he remembered something. That night he helped her. She had said something while he changed her tire. He had almost forgotten. Just for words. Barely heard through the rain, but now they rang clear in his head. If they find me, that's all she had whispered. She didn't even finish the sentence. Daniel sat up in bed. She knew what would happen. She knew they were following her. And now, they were watching him too. The next morning, a message was taped to Mike's door. Not just paper this time. A photo. A blurry image of Daniel, sleeping on Mike's couch. Written across the bottom. We're inside already. Daniel and Mike stared at it. Neither said a word. Because now, it wasn't just a warning. It was a promise. They could get to them any time, Daniel said softly. I need to find her. Before they do, Daniel couldn't think clearly anymore. He sat on the edge of Mike's couch, holding the latest photo in his hand. His own face stared back at him, eyes closed, fast asleep. But someone else had been watching him. Someone had taken this picture from inside the apartment. That wasn't just a warning. It was a message. We can reach you anytime, anywhere. Mike locked all the windows and checked the doors twice. He was nervous now, more than before. These people are serious, Mike whispered. This is next-level stuff, man. Government. Military? Or worse. Daniel looked around the apartment. Nothing looked out of place. No signs of forced entry. No broken locks. But someone had been inside. While they both slept, Mike tried to stay calm. Okay, listen. We've got one lead zone, 432. That's where she was. That's where this started. Maybe there's something there we can find. Daniel nodded slowly. But what if they're waiting for us there? Mike glanced at the photo again. We go prepared. No phones, no digital trail, just in and out. Daniel looked down at the floor. His head was spinning. He didn't ask for this. All he did was help a woman change a tire, and now his world was upside down. They tried to rest. But neither of them could sleep. The apartment felt too quiet, too exposed. Around 3 a.m., Mike's phone started ringing. He picked it up fast. Unknown number, he said, showing Daniel the screen. Answer it, Daniel said. Mike hesitated, then pressed the green button. Hello? There was no reply. Hello? He repeated, louder. Still nothing then? Sound, a faint breathing. Then, a woman's voice, soft, broken, like she was in pain. They found me. Mike sat up straight. Who is this? Daniel moved closer. The voice came again, clearer this time. Daniel, it's me. Daniel's chest tightened. Evelyn. Mike held the phone between them. Where are you? Voice cracked. I don't know. Somewhere underground. They moved me after the first escape. But I ran again. I had to. Daniel grabbed the phone. Are you safe? No, she whispered. But I found something. About the place. About you. What do you mean? They think I gave it to you. That's why they're watching. You. Daniel's heart dropped. I don't have anything. You do, she said. Check the tire. Daniel blinked. What tire? The one you changed that night, she said. The broken one. I hid something inside it. They didn't know. Daniel's mouth went dry. But it's gone. I left it on the road. Evelyn's breathing grew faster. Then someone has it. If they find it before you do, the line went dead. Daniel stared at the phone. Silence. Just silence. Mike tried calling back. The number was now unreachable. Was that really her? Mike asked, voice tight. Daniel nodded slowly. She sounded hurt. But she's alive, and she's running again. Mike leaned forward. Forget everything else. We need that tire. Early. The next morning, Daniel and Mike drove back to Highway 39, to the exact spot where he helped Evelyn. The grass looked untouched. The road looked normal, but nothing was normal anymore. They searched the side of the road for almost an hour. No sign of a broken tire, no trash, no clue. Then Daniel noticed something tire marks in the dirt off the road near the trees. Like someone had pulled over. He followed them into the trees and found a small ditch inside it. It was a torn rubber object, the old tire, half covered in leaves. Daniel pulled it out and placed it on the grass. There's no way this thing's hiding something, Mike said. But Daniel wasn't so sure. He picked up a rock and started hitting the rubber. Suddenly Dash cracked something. Broke inside the tire. Daniel pulled at the torn edge. His fingers touched something hard. A small black plastic case. Sealed tight with tape. Mike's eyes widened. That's it. Daniel opened it carefully. Inside was a tiny USB drive. No label. No name. Just a cold, silent flash device. This is what they're after, Daniel whispered. They rushed back to Mike's apartment. Mike plugged the USB into his laptop. The screen blinked. A folder popped up. S432 classified inside the folder were video files, documents, and strange medical charts. They clicked on one video. A woman sat at a metal table. 2 men in suits stood behind her. It was Evelyn. Her hands were shaking. Wires were connected to her arm. A voice asked her questions. Have you told anyone? Where's the list? Who did you contact? She cried. Said nothing. Then the screen went black. Daniel sat frozen. Mike opened another file. Names, codes, test subjects. Some were labeled as eliminated, others under watch. One of the names listed near the bottom. Daniel K. Mike's voice broke. They were watching you before you met her. Daniel stared. Why? I don't know, Mike said. But it's in their files. You were already part of it. Suddenly the laptop screen went dark. A message popped up. Unauthorized access. System locking. The laptop shut down. Daniel and Mike jumped to their feet. Then they heard it. A car outside. Mike ran to the window. The SUV was back. Only this time, 2 men got out. Black coats, gloves. No words. Just walking straight toward the apartment building. Daniel grabbed the USB. We have to leave now. Mike nodded. Back door, hurry. They slipped out the fire escape. The wind was cold and sharp. From the back alley, Daniel saw the SUV again. And in the passenger seat, Evelyn. Her head leaned against the glass. Her eyes closed. She looked unconscious. Daniel stared. Was it really her or a warning? Before he could move, the SUV sped away. Gone again. Daniel and Mike stood in the alley, hearts pounding. We have proof now, Daniel said, holding the USB tight. We have names, faces, everything. Mike nodded. Then it's time we stop running. Daniel looked into the dark city night. His voice was low, but steady. We bring this to the world. Daniel didn't know where to go anymore. He and Mike had spent the night at a small motel 2 hours outside the city. They used cash. No ID, no phones, just the USB drive and a backpack each. Neither of them slept much. They kept hearing sounds, cars outside, doors creaking, footsteps above. Every noise felt like danger. Every shadow felt like it was watching. Daniel sat on the bed, holding the USB tight in his hand. That tiny device now held the truth. But truth, he was learning, could be dangerous. Very dangerous. The next morning, Mike turned on the motel room TV. Just for background noise, he flipped through channels, stopping at a live news report. Breaking story out of Willow Hill Mall, the reporter said. A minor panic after a woman fainted in front of several shoppers, causing security to lock down the West Wing. Daniel barely paid attention until the camera zoomed in on the scene, and he froze. He stood up, his mouth opened, but no sound came out. On the screen, lying on the ground, was a woman in a gray hoodie, her face pale, her hair messy. Evelyn. It was her. The woman he had helped. The woman they were chasing. The woman who had called him just days ago. Mike looked at him. Is that yes? Daniel said. That's her. They both stared at the screen. A mall, middle of the day, crowds, police cars, and Evelyn, out in the open. She's not hiding anymore, Daniel whispered. Mike grabbed the keys. Let's go. They reached Willow Hill Mall 40 minutes later. But by the time they got there, the scene was calm. No police, no news vans. The mall was open again like nothing had happened. Daniel and Mike walked inside, eyes scanning every corner. Where was the West Wing? Daniel asked a security guard near the entrance. The man shrugged. Whatever happen's already over. Some woman fainted, then ran off when paramedics came, probably on something. Daniel's heart sank. She ran again. They kept walking, checking stores. Food, court. Restrooms, every bench, every shadow, and then just before giving up, Daniel saw her sitting alone at a bookstore cafe. Evelyn, wearing the same gray hoodie, her face tired but calm, like she didn't care anymore who saw her. Daniel couldn't believe it. She's just sitting there, Mike whispered. Why? Daniel stepped forward slowly. His footsteps were soft. Evelyn was staring at her hands. She looked up and saw him. For a second, she didn't move. Then, instead of running, she waved him over. Daniel walked slowly to her table. He sat across from her. Mike stood behind, watching everything. Evelyn didn't look scared this time. She looked ready. Hi, she said softly. Daniel didn't know what to say. You're just here. I was tired of running, she said. Let them find me. I don't care anymore. Daniel shook his head. They'll take you back, I know. Mike leaned forward. You fainted? Are you hurt? Evelyn nodded. A little, but I'm okay. I had to come here. I needed to see you one more time. Daniel frowned. Why? Evelyn reached into her coat and placed a folded paper on the table. This is what they're after, she said. Not just the USB. Daniel opened the paper slowly. It was a list: names, dates, files, marked as erased, compromised, and unknown. At the very bottom, Daniel Kent flagged, level red. He looked up. Why am I on here? Evelyn stared into his eyes. Because your father used to work for them. Silence. Daniel's chest felt like it had stopped moving. What? Evelyn nodded slowly. They never told you. But he was one of the creators of the program. He helped build Zone 432. They kept you on a watch list in case he ever passed on information. Daniel's throat went dry. My dad died in a car crash when I was 16. Evelyn nodded again. After he tried to leave the program, he wanted out. They made sure that didn't happen, Mike whispered. So, Daniel was always in danger? Yes, Evelyn said. They think you know something. Even if you don't. Daniel shook his head. But I don't. I swear I never knew anything. I didn't even know he worked for anyone. Evelyn looked at him carefully. You might be the only one left who can expose them. That USB has proof. But this, she pointed at the list. This is their heart. The names that keep it running. If the world sees this, they lose everything. Suddenly, Evelyn looked up. Her eyes locked on something behind Daniel. Her body froze. They're here. Daniel turned at the far end of the bookstore. 2 men in black suits had entered, not security, not police them. Mike grabbed the list and folded it fast. Daniel helped. Evelyn to her feet. She stumbled but stayed up. They moved toward the side exit quietly, fast but calm. The men noticed. They started walking. Faster, Daniel whispered. Go. Now. They ran through the side hallway, past storage rooms. Evelyn gasped for air. Mike held the list tight. Daniel kept glancing back. The men were still coming, not running. It's walking fast, like they knew they'd catch them soon. They burst through the emergency door into a back alley. Sunlight hit their faces. Cars passed in the distance. No sign of the SUV, yet they ran toward the street. Mike waved down a cab. It stopped. They jumped in. Daniel slammed the door. Go. Just drive. The driver looked confused, but hit the gas. The cab sped away just as the black-suited men came out the alley. Too late. Inside the cab. Well, no one spoke for a minute. They just breathed. Fast. Heavy. Then Evelyn turned to Daniel. I don't have much time. What do you mean? He asked. I escaped again, but they did something to me. I feel sick all the time. I think they used me for tests. Daniel stared at her. Then we take you to a hospital. No, she said. They'll find me there. Just promise me something. Anything. If I disappear again, you release everything. The USB, the list, my name, all of it. Daniel nodded. I promise. Evelyn gave a weak smile, then looked out the window. But behind them, a black SUV was now following. The black SUV followed them for 20 blocks. The cab driver didn't notice, but Daniel did. He kept checking the rearview mirror. Same SUV, same speed. Same distance. Every time the cab turned, the SUV turned to Evelyn. Noticed it too. Her face paled. She didn't speak, but her eyes said everything. Mike whispered, they're not letting us go. Daniel leaned forward. Can you take a long route? Not the main roads? The driver shrugged. Meters running, man. Just do it, Daniel said. The cab turned onto quieter streets. Back roads. Small shops. Empty sidewalks. Finally, the SUV turned away at a red light. They lost it, at least for now. They reached Daniel's house an hour later. It felt strange to be back. The place looked the same quiet. Normal, but nothing felt normal anymore. Evelyn stayed in the car while Daniel and Mike went inside first. Everything was where he had left it, except one thing. The door was unlocked. Daniel stopped cold. I locked it when I left, whispered. Mike pushed the door open slowly. Inside, no mess, no broken things, just silence. But on the coffee table, something new sat waiting. A police badge, real shiny, clean, and a card. We stopped by. Please call us. Detective Rowan, Missing Persons Unit. Mike frowned. Police. How did they even know? Daniel picked up the card. Maybe someone saw us at the mall. Maybe they know Evelyn's face now. Mike looked. At him? Or maybe it's not the real police. Daniel didn't speak. His gut said the same thing. Still, they had to know. So Daniel called the number on the card using a public payphone down the street. A woman answered. Detective Rowan. Daniel cleared his throat. This is Daniel Kent. You left a card at my home. A pause, then. Yes, Mr. Kent. We're looking into a case involving a woman seen with you recently. Can we speak in person? Daniel hesitated. Is this about Evelyn Moore? Another pause. Then we'd rather talk face to face. Daniel hung up. Back at the house. Evelyn waited on the couch. She looked tired again, pale, but she spoke before they even told her. They're sending fakes now, aren't they? Daniel nodded. Are there real police being used by someone? Else she looked down. I've seen it before. When they want someone erased, they don't send men in black anymore. They send uniforms. People you trust. Mike said. Then we need to disappear again. But Daniel looked at the USB and... The list? No. I'm done running. Evelyn's eyes met his. He walked to his laptop and opened it. He started typing. He wrote a message to a news outlet. Attached the list, the photos. A short message. If anything happens to us, share this with the world. This is real. This is dangerous. And people are dying. He hit send. Then he closed the laptop. It's out now, he said. We're not the only ones who know anymore. But just as they stood up to leave a knock, at the door, Daniel froze. Mike moved toward the window. Outside stood two people, a man and a woman. Police uniforms. Clean. Calm. Holding clipboards. The woman spoke loudly through the door. Mr. Kent. I'm Detective Rowan. We just want to ask a few questions. Daniel didn't open the door. He said loudly, Can I see your badge through the window? The woman walked over, lifted the badge. It looked real, shiny, official. Mike leaned in. Could be fake. could be printed. Evelyn stood behind them, whispering, "Look at the car." Daniel peeked. A black sedan. No police lights, no markings, no. Computer system inside? Just a black civilian car. Daniel turned back to the door. "Sorry, I'm not answering questions without a lawyer." The man outside spoke now, his voice colder. "Sir, this is a federal matter. If you don't open the door, we will return with a warrant." Daniel stayed silent. They waited then. Footsteps leaving the car. Engine started. The car pulled away. Gone. Mike whispered, "That wasn't police." Daniel nodded. "They're getting desperate." Evelyn sat down slowly. "Then we have to be faster." Later that night, Daniel received an email reply from the news outlet. Just one sentence. "We're reviewing the files. Stay safe." It wasn't much, but it meant someone was watching now, someone beyond the shadows. Just as they were settling in for the night, another knock, this time. It was faster, louder. Daniel grabbed the USB and stuffed it in his pocket. Mike peeked through the blinds. Another man outside, but this one looked different, older, not in uniform. Wearing a long brown coat, holding up both hands, he spoke clearly through the door. "I'm not with them. Please, just 5 minutes. I know what they've done. I used to work for them." Daniel looked at Evelyn. She nodded slowly. "Let him speak." He opened the door slightly. The man stepped inside. He looked nervous, eyes tired, hands shaking. "My name is James. I was a cleaner." Daniel frowned. "A what?" James looked down. "I was one of the men they sent when someone talked too much, or ran, or knew too much." Mike's jaw clenched. "So why are you here?" James looked at Evelyn. "I helped you escape the first time." Evelyn gasped. Daniel stepped back. "You?" James nodded. "I've been running ever since, but I heard what you did. The tire, the USB, the list, it's all real. And now it's out." "They're angry," Daniel said. "What's on the USB?" James spoke softly. "Everything. Experiments. Human testing, mind control attempts." Zone 432 was the main site, but it wasn't the only one. Evelyn whispered, "How do we stop them?" James looked serious. "You already started, but they won't stop unless the world watches. You need to show your faces. Tell the story yourself, or they'll just bury it again." Daniel swallowed. "You want us to go public?" James nodded. "They can erase files, but not voices." Daniel looked at Mike, then at Evelyn. Then he said, "Then we go live." The living room was quiet, too quiet. Daniel sat on the edge of the couch, laptop open in front of him. His hands hovered over the keyboard, could feel the weight of the moment. Mike stood by the window, watching the street below. Evelyn sat beside Daniel, pale but steady. She clutched a warm mug in both hands, but she hadn't taken a sip. James, the man who used to work for them, stood in the corner, quiet and still. His eyes scanned every corner of the room, every shadow. They all knew what was about to happen. No more hiding, no more running. It was time to speak. Daniel clicked on the link. The journalist had sent a live stream, private for now. Locked until they were ready. The outlet wasn't big, but it was honest, independent, brave enough to tell what the big networks wouldn't. The journalist's name was Sarah Lane. She had responded quickly after receiving the files. Her message had been simple. "We believe you. Let's show them." Now Sarah's face appeared on screen. Calm, professional, focused. "Daniel, we're ready when you are," she said. "You can speak freely. We'll stay live. No cuts, no edits." Daniel nodded. His voice was shaking, but he began. "Hello. My name is Daniel Kent. I'm not famous. I'm not special. But I saw something. That I helped someone I wasn't supposed to." He paused. Evelyn placed a hand on his arm. Her touch was light but grounding. "I helped a woman with a flat tire. That's all it started with. But that night changed everything. Since then, people have followed me, entered my home, threatened me, because they think I have something." He held up the USB stick. "This?" Sarah nodded on screen. "Can you tell us what's on it?" Daniel looked into the camera. Proof that a secret program called Zone 432 existed. That people were experimented. On that, innocent people were watched, taken, and erased. He handed the USB to Mike, who showed it to the WEBCAM. Sarah leaned in. "And you're not alone?" "No," Daniel said. "The woman I helped, her name is Evelyn Moore. She's here. She was a test subject. Now she wants the truth told too." Evelyn leaned forward. Her voice was soft, but clear. "My name is Evelyn? I don't remember how I got there. But they took me. They tested things on me. Drugs, lights, sound. They made me forget things. Then, one day someone helped me escape. That man is standing in this room." The camera turned slightly. James stepped into view. Sarah's eyebrows lifted. "You worked for them?" James nodded. "I cleaned up their messes. Now I want to stop them." The live stream had started with only a few dozen viewers. Now, there were thousands. Comments flew across the screen. "Is this real? I saw a black SUV near my place last week. Where are the police? Who runs Zone 432? Sarah leaned forward again. "Daniel, what do you want from this?" Daniel took a deep breath. "I want to be safe. I want Evelyn to live a normal life. And I want the world to see what's been hiding in the dark. We're not crazy. We're just telling the truth." Suddenly, the screen flickered. Static. Then, black dot, the stream froze. Daniel stared at the screen. "What happened?" Mike clicked the keyboard. Nothing worked. Evelyn gasped. "They found us." Sarah's face reappeared for a second, her image distorted, voice crackling. "Daniel, stay online? Don't move." And black again. Complete silence. James rushed to the window. 3 black SUVs now stood at the end of the street. Engines off. Doors opening. Men in suits stepping out. Daniel's heart thudded. "There. Here." Mike grabbed the USB and the paper list from the table. Daniel pulled Evelyn to her feet. James moved fast, out the back. Now they ran through the kitchen. Out the back door. Into the alley behind the house. Their breath fogged in the night. Air James led the way. "There's an old subway tunnel a block away. I used it before." Behind them, the front door slammed open. Voices yelled. Footsteps followed. But the alley was dark. The tunnel door was hidden behind an old dumpster. James kicked it open. "Go." They rushed inside. The air was cold and wet. The tunnel was narrow. It's filled with old tracks and metal boxes. They ran. Boots echoed behind them. Closer, faster then. Shot a loud crack. Evelyn screamed. Daniel grabbed her hand and didn't let go. Suddenly, the tunnel split into 2 paths. James pointed left. "I'll lead them away," he said. "You 3 go right. Find the other exit." Daniel shook his head. "You'll never make it." James smiled faintly. "I already did this once. I know how it ends." Then he turned and disappeared down the left path. Daniel, Evelyn, and Mike ran down the right tunnel. It was darker, tighter. They kept moving, each step a heartbeat, each second a race. Finally, a door. Mike kicked it open. Fresh air hit their faces. They were behind a row of old warehouses. A car was parked nearby. A woman stood by the door. "Sarah Lane." "I figured they'd shut us down," she said, opening the back door. "Get in." They didn't speak. They just drove fast. Away from the city, away from the men in suits. The USB was still safe. So was the list. And now, Sarah had the footage they recorded saved directly to her hard drive. No one could delete it now. They drove in. Silence for a long time. Then Daniel looked at Sarah. "You came for us." She nodded. "I believe in stories, real ones, and the truth you told that matters." Mike leaned back. "What happens now?" Sarah glanced in the mirror. "Now, we publish everything, all of it," Evelyn whispered. "Then they'll come. For you too." Sarah gave a small smile. "Let them." No. The car sped through empty roads. Daniel sat in the back seat, holding the USB tight in his hand. Evelyn leaned against the door, her eyes half closed, still weak from the night. Mike sat beside her, watching every turn behind them. and Sarah drove fast, her lips pressed tight, eyes locked on the road. They were alive for now. But Daniel knew it wasn't over. They'll try again, he said quietly. Sarah nodded. Let them. This time, we'll be ready. They reached a farmhouse just outside the city, old, quiet, hidden behind tall trees and a broken fence. This used to be my uncle's place, Sarah said. No one comes here anymore. No cameras, no cell towers, no noise. It was the perfect hiding spot. For now inside. Daniel set the USB and the list on the kitchen table. Sarah opened her laptop. I saved the full interview, she said. Tried to block it, but I have local backups. Daniel leaned in. Can we go live again? Sarah shook her head. Too risky. They'll cut it faster this time. But she smiled. We can record something even better. Something they can't stop. A trap. Mike looked up. A trap. Sarah nodded. We bait them, set up cameras, force them to show themselves. Then send it out, live multiple locations at once. Even if they stop one, they can't stop all. Daniel asked, what's the bait? Everyone in the room looked at Evelyn. She sat quietly, then nodded. I'll do it. That night, the plan came together. Sarah placed hidden cameras all over the farmhouse, inside and out. She set up microphones. Backup power. A direct stream link to 5 online accounts. If anything happened, the truth would go live. Daniel watched from the side. His hands wouldn't stop shaking. Are we really doing this? He whispered to Mike. Mike gave a half smile. Feels like a movie. No, Daniel said. Movies feel safer. By morning, everything was set. They released a message online, just 2 lines. The truth is coming. Evelyn Moore will speak live, 6 p.m. tonight. They posted it everywhere. Twitter, Reddit, private forums. Encrypted groups. The internet lit up. People remembered the interrupted stream now. They waited. The trap was set, but no one saw what was coming next. At 5:40 p.m., Sarah double-checked the camera angles. Daniel sat with Evelyn in the living room, helping her rehearse what she would say. Mike walked around the house, checking windows and doors. Everything was quiet, too quiet then. Sarah's phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number, just for words. He's not your friend. She stared at the screen, then looked up. Mike walked in from the hallway. He smiled, but something about his smile felt different. Forced. Sarah grabbed her camera bag and stepped outside. She called Daniel to follow her. Just come, she said quickly. Now, they stepped onto the porch. Sarah handed him her phone. Read that. Daniel read the message. He froze. It's not your friend. His voice cracked. What does that mean? Sarah looked back at the door. I don't know yet, but I've learned to trust strange warnings. Daniel nodded. Let's watch him. Inside, Mike helped Evelyn get ready. He handed her a bottle of water, sat next to her, calmed her nerves. You're going to do great, he said. Evelyn smiled weakly. Thanks for staying. Mike nodded. Always. But outside the window, another black SUV had just parked. Behind the trees, Daniel and Sarah saw it first. Daniel's breath caught. They're early, Sarah whispered. No, they were invited. Daniel turned sharply. By who? Sarah didn't answer, because deep down, they both knew. 6:01 p.m. Cameras live. Evelyn sat in front of the lens. Sarah signaled. Daniel hit record. Evelyn spoke. My name is Evelyn Moore. I was taken, tested, and erased by a secret government program called Zone 432. She continued, her voice stronger. With each word, the numbers climbed to 100, 1,000. 6,000 people watching. Comments exploded. She's alive. The truth is out. They're going to stop her again. Then the door burst open. Mike stood there behind him. 3 men in black suits. Guns drawn. Faces cold. Evelyn froze. Daniel jumped up. Sarah backed into the hallway. Camera still recording. Mike stepped aside. I told you she'd be here, he said. Daniel's heart shattered. Betrayal. Mike had sold them out. He had been part of it all along, Evelyn whispered. Lead. Mike didn't answer. The men stormed forward. One grabbed Daniel, another unplugged Sarah's laptop. The third walked straight toward Evelyn, but she wasn't done. She stood, face calm, eyes steady, and said into the camera, "I forgive you." Then she looked at Mike. "Even you." Mike's jaw tightened. He looked away, shame on his face. Suddenly, James appeared in the back doorway, rifle in hand. "Step away from them," he shouted. The men turned. One reached for his gun, but James fired first. Bang! One man dropped, the others ducked. Evelyn dove behind the couch. Daniel grabbed Sarah and ran toward the back. Mike didn't move, frozen in seconds. The screen went black again. The stream stopped. The power cut. But Daniel had the USB, and Sarah had her hidden. Camera still rolling. They ran out the back door and into the woods behind the house. Evelyn stumbled, but kept moving. James followed last. Limping, gun still in hand, the sun was setting. The sky turned orange. They made it to the field, behind the trees, breathing heavy, hearts racing alive. For now, Daniel looked at Evelyn. "I'm sorry," but Evelyn just smiled. "No, this is only the beginning." The night was quiet again. Too quiet. Daniel, Sarah, and James sat around a fire behind the farmhouse ruins. The trap had worked, but not the way they wanted. Evelyn sat apart from the group, near the edge of the trees. Her eyes stared at the sky, lost in thought. She hadn't said much since they escaped. Mike's betrayal still hung heavy in the air. They never saw him again. Sarah checked her laptop again. She had managed to recover some of the live stream, but not all. The hidden camera had captured the attack and part of Evelyn's final words. People online were still talking, but the truth was incomplete. James stood, stretching his back. He still limped from the tunnel chase, but didn't complain. "I'll take first watch," he said. "Get some rest." Daniel nodded, sitting beside Evelyn. She didn't look at him for a moment. Neither spoke. Then she said softly, "It's almost over." Daniel frowned. "What do you mean?" Evelyn looked up at him. Her eyes were calm but tired, like someone who had already said goodbye in her heart. "I can't stay with you anymore." Daniel's chest tightened. "What are you talking about? We're close now. The world is listening." She gave a weak smile. "That's exactly why I have to go." Daniel shook his head. "No, we need you. I need you." Evelyn turned to him. "You don't need me anymore. You have the truth now, and you're brave enough to carry it." "But we're a team," Daniel whispered. "No," she said gently. "You were my rescue. You gave me my voice back. But I was never meant to be free forever." Daniel felt a lump in his throat. "I can protect you." "No," she said. "We'll just get hurt." Daniel's hands trembled. "Where will you go?" Evelyn looked at the trees, the stars, the darkness ahead. "Somewhere they won't follow. Somewhere I can disappear for good." Daniel shook his head. "You can't just leave." Evelyn leaned forward and kissed his forehead softly. "I already have." Daniel fell asleep sometime before dawn. When he woke, the sun was rising, the fire was low, the woods were quiet, and Evelyn was gone. He jumped up, searching the area, nothing. No note, no message, no footprints, just silence. Sarah rushed out of the AE. "Barn, where is she?" Daniel shook his head. "She's gone." James walked up holding something, a small black pouch. "She left this," he said quietly. Daniel opened it. Inside was a flash drive. Not the same one as before. This one was newer and taped to it. A handwritten note. "Daniel, if you're reading this, I'm gone. Don't follow me. Don't search. But use this. This is everything. The real core. The things even I was afraid to see. I love what you gave me, freedom. Now I give it back. To the world." Daniel stared at the note for a long time. He didn't speak. He said, "Sarah," touched his arm gently. "We need to open it." Daniel nodded slowly. They went back inside the barn and powered up Sarah's backup laptop. No internet, no connection, just a local scan. Inside the flash drive, one single folder, 432 lockdowns. They opened it, hundreds of files, images, voice recordings, secret emails, blueprints, and at the top, one document. Project. Voice erase primary protocol. Daniel clicked it. A full outline appeared. Zone 432. It was never just an experiment site. It was a mind control program designed to erase identities, create fake memories, and control voices. Evelyn had been part of the final stage. Her real name? Not Evelyn. Her real past. Never told to her. The file showed documents proving she had once been a doctor or whistleblower who tried to expose the truth. So they made her forget. Sarah's hand shook. They wiped her, as Daniel whispered, and still. She found a way. Back. They sat in silence. Then Sarah looked at him, this file. This is the key. Daniel nodded. His eyes burned, but his voice was strong. We publish it today, James added quietly. They'll come again, stronger. Daniel looked at the folder and clenched his jaw, then let them come. That night, Sarah uploaded the full contents to 5 different places' secure servers, encrypted mirrors, and scheduled releases. Even if they were found, the files would spread, the world would see, and Evelyn's voice would be heard. Later, Daniel walked to the edge of the trees where Evelyn had last stood. He placed the note back into his coat pocket. Then he whispered into the wind, "Thank you, Evelyn. I'll finish this." The internet exploded. Daniel watched from the old farmhouse as numbers rolled across Sarah's laptop screen. Views, 134,000. Shares, 92,000 comments. Too many to count. The files from Evelyn's final flash drive were now everywhere: whistleblower forums, global news blogs, encrypted apps, even trending on social media. The truth had broken out, and the world was burning with questions. Zone 432 is real? Mind control? In our cities? Who else knew? Who's next? News anchors looked shocked. Podcasters gasped live on camera. Some called Daniel a hero. Others said he was a liar, but no one was ignoring it now. In the barn, Daniel sat with Sarah and James. They hadn't slept. None of them could. The air felt heavy. Every breath felt like it carried weight. Sarah refreshed the screen. Again, one message caught their eyes. From an anonymous account, they're sending her. Run. Daniel frowned. Sending who? James stood up slowly. His face had lost all color. Her. He whispered it, like the word itself was cursed. Sarah looked at him. You know who it is? James nodded, and what he said next made the room go cold. They call her Raven. She's not a soldier. She's not an agent. She's worse. She's a cleaner who never fails. If she's coming, we don't have long. Daniel clenched his fists. Let her come. I'm not running. James turned sharply. You don't understand. She doesn't knock. She doesn't warn. She appears. And then people vanish, Sarah whispered. Then we vanish first. They packed in 10 minutes. Laptop USB, hidden camera footage. Evelyn's note. Daniel took only what mattered. The truth: Sarah knew a contact up north, someone who ran a pirate news channel deep in the woods. No cell towers, no satellite dishes, no signals. Just wires. Towers and an old cabin where truth lived like a secret ghost. They drove for 6 hours. Through rain, forest, dirt roads, until finally they reached it, an old radio tower. Worn, rusty, still alive inside. A man named Leo sat by blinking lights and analog machines. He barely spoke, just nodded once and pointed to a table. This is safe, he said. For now. They set up again, this time with more than files. They had names from Evelyn's list. Daniel had found 3 names marked current ops. People still inside the program, still working, still hiding, and one of them was close. Sarah pulled up the name, Dr. Elias Byrne, a fake psychologist. He ran therapy sessions for troubled memory patients. But now they knew what that really meant. Mind wipes. voice erasures. Daniel stared at the address. A private clinic. "We get 'em to talk," he said. "They can't deny it anymore." James volunteered to scout the place. He left that night knife on his belt, quiet as a shadow. Daniel and Sarah waited. They didn't speak much. The silence felt safer. But deep down, they both felt it. Something was getting closer. At 3:27 a.m. Called one whisper, "She's here." The call cut silence. Then a soft tap on the window. Daniel grabbed the flashlight and slowly moved toward it. Outside, no one, just woods, trees, darkness. He turned back to Sarah. "We need to go now." They rushed outside, but the car. Tires slashed, and on the windshield, a white feather. Sarah gasped. "Raven." Daniel looked around. He couldn't see her, couldn't hear her, but she was near, watching, hunting. They ran into the woods behind the tower. Leaves cracked under their feet, their breaths turned to fog in the cold air. They didn't stop until they crossed the river. Daniel's lungs burned Sarah. He clutched the laptop tight, still working, still recording. Found an old ranger cabin, abandoned, dusty, safe for now. Inside, Daniel finally spoke. "She's real." Sarah nodded, "And she's close." But then her laptop beeped, a new email from James. Subject, "Truth inside," a photo, a recording. And 3 simple words, "She let me live." Daniel opened the photo. It showed Dr. Elias Byrne tied to a chair, bruised, eyes wide. A TIMESTAMP tonight. Just 1 hour ago, the audio file played. Dr. Byrne shaking. "They erased people. I did what I was told, but I kept records. In case this happened." James, "Where?" Dr. Byrne, Locker 23. At the old Zone 432 site. Under the lab, password is Raven. Daniel stared at the screen. Sarah said, "It's real." He confirmed it. Daniel nodded, his voice low, final. "Then we go back to where it all started." In the woods, behind the cabin, a pair of black boots stepped into the dirt, quiet, slow, purposeful. Another white feather drifted down onto the grass. Raven had arrived. Rain hit the windshield as the car sped down the broken highway. Daniel sat in the back seat, clutching Evelyn's flash drive in one hand and the photo of Dr. Elias Byrne in the other. Sarah drove fast, her jaw tight. James sat beside her, checking his knife, a flashlight, and an old security map. They were going back to Zone 432, the place Evelyn had escaped. The place. Daniel had only heard of until now, James said. The coordinates haven't changed. It's still deep in the mountains, hidden under an old research center. The top level was shut down, but below. He paused. Daniel asked, "You really think there's something in Locker 23? James nodded. "Byrne gave us a location and a password." "That means he's scared." Sarah whispered, "That means it's real." 2 hours later, they left the road, drove through thick forest. Fog drifted between the trees. The old GPS device beeped once, then went. Silent signal lost. James turned in his seat. "From here, we walk." They hiked through mud and branches for nearly a mile until it appeared a gray concrete building. Cracked, overgrown, hidden under trees and vines. It looked like an old science facilities, mall, silent, forgotten. But this was the face of Zone 432. Daniel whispered, "It doesn't look dangerous." James shook his head. "That's the point." They pushed open the rusted door. Inside dashed darkness. Flashlights clicked on. Dust floated through the air. Old desks. Torn charts. Broken monitors. Daniel followed James down a hallway marked "Research staff only." Each step echoed. Each shadow felt heavier then. They reached the elevator shaft. James pointed down. "Sublevel C, that's where Locker 23 is." The elevator had no power, so they climbed down the emergency ladder. It was narrow, wet, cold. Sarah slipped once Daniel caught her. Below, Sublevel C was even darker. No sound, no movement. But something about the air felt. Watched, James led. them through the hallway. Old signs still marked the walls. Memory lab, control room, holding cells, archive, low CKRs. They turned into the locker room. Daniel counted them. 22, 23. Locker 2, 3. It looked normal. Metal. Locked. James typed the code. Raven. The lock clicked. He opened it slowly. Inside. Sealed black case. A dusty journal. A drive labeled Koravi. And a photo. Of Evelyn. Younger. In a lab coat. Smiling. Daniel's hands trembled. He whispered, "She worked here." James opened the journal. It wasn't scientific notes. It was personal. "My name is Dr. Evelyn Ross. I thought I was helping people forget pain, but I was helping them forget themselves." Sarah looked at Daniel. She was one of them. A doctor who became a subject. Daniel nodded. They made her erase her own identity. Suddenly a loud click. Then metal grinding. The hallway door slammed shut behind them. Lights flickered on. Red and blinking, an old speaker crackled overhead. A voice spoke. Calm, cold, robotic. Unauthorized access detected. Lockdown initiated. Daniel spun around. "We're trapped." James pulled his gun. This was a setup. Sarah stepped back. The red lights blinked faster. Another voice came over the speaker. But this time, it wasn't robotic. It was female. Smooth, chilling. "You came far, Daniel, just like she did, but you were never supposed to leave with the truth." Daniel froze. Sarah whispered, "That's her." James nodded grimly. "Raven," Daniel shouted, "why are you doing this?" "Erase people," Raven answered, calm and cruel. "Because memory is the enemy of control. When people forget, they obey." Suddenly, metal doors opened along the hallway. Footsteps echoed. Not running, walking confident. Sharp, eh? Shadow appeared at the far end. Slim tall. Black combat clothes. A white feather fell to the floor. Raven Daniel grabbed the flash drive and shoved it into Sarah's laptop. He opened the video file. Core.avi. Inside dash grainy footage. A lab. Doctors, and in the center, patient strapped to a chair. Her name tag. Evelyn Ross. A man in a lab coat spoke to the camera. Subject 432 is now ready for final clearance. All memories wiped. New identity installed. Sarah whispered, "It's her final erasure." Daniel said, "We have to send this out now." There was no internet, no signal, James growled. "We need to get out." Raven's voice echoed again. "You won't leave. Not this time." James raised his gun. "You first," he told Daniel. They ran out of the locker room, through the hallway. Behind them, Raven walked slowly. No fear. Bullets hit the walls beside her. She didn't flinch. They reached the elevator shaft. James shouted, "Climb." Daniel climbed first, the laptop strapped to his back. Sarah followed, barely able to breathe. Raven stepped into the shaft below, looked up, and threw a small black device. It beeped, flashed, then dash boom. The ladder shook violently. Dust rained down. Daniel held tight. Sarah screamed but kept climbing. James below them yelled, "Go! Don't stop." Another boom below. The shaft cracked. Metal bent. Daniel reached the top and helped. Sarah up. James was close behind. They kicked the hatch open. Fresh air. Night sky. Wind. They were out. But not safe. In the distance. Black SUVs pulled into the trees. Dozens of them. Men in suits stepped out. Guns ready. No badges. No names. Just silence. Daniel turned to Sarah. "It's now or never." They ran to the edge of the woods, where James had hidden an old antenna transmitter, a satellite dish powered by a gas generator. "Shortwave stream," Sarah said. "It's weak, but it'll push the file." Daniel uploaded the core, Avi, and Evelyn's journal scan. He hit send to all. The bar loaded 20%. 43%. 78%. Gunshots echoed in the distance. James fired back. Daniel watched the progress. 0.94%. 98%. 100%. Sent everywhere. Raven appeared on the ridge behind them. She stared down at Daniel, but she didn't move. She just watched, then turned around and disappeared into the woods. Daniel collapsed beside the dish. The video was out. The truth could never be hidden again. 3 days passed. 3 long, chaotic, life-changing days. Daniel hadn't slept. Not really. He sat in a quiet cabin in the northern woods, watching the world change through a cracked laptop screen. His name was everywhere. So was Evelyn's. So was the truth. The video from Zone 432 had gone viral. Evelyn strapped to a chair, her voice fading, doctors erasing memories. The word subject 432 now cleared, and the chilling phrase, memory, is the enemy of control. The footage hit every platform. People who didn't believe at first now had to. Governments couldn't deny it anymore. The first wave was shock. News. Anchors cried on live TV. Celebrities demanded answers. Psychologists confessed they'd been paid to forget. People began questioning their own memories. The second wave was anger. Protests filled the streets. Signs read, "Who erased my life? I remember things I was told never happened." People demanded to know who was behind Zone 432, and the third wave was fear, because the men behind it still hadn't been named. Sarah worked nonstop, tracking online threads and encrypted emails. Every hour, more whistleblowers came forward. Former test subjects, nurses, programmers, security guards. Some had tiny pieces of information, but together, it formed something massive. A full web at the center of it. The name of one man, director Hal Crane, James, who still watched over Daniel like a quiet guardian, wasn't surprised. "I've heard that name," he said. He was never in the room, always on the phone, but everyone feared him, Sarah said. "He's never been photographed. No known address. Not even a birth record," Daniel whispered. "A ghost." That evening, a message arrived on Sarah's secure server, encrypted. No sender ID, just text. "You've come too far. Stop or lose everything." Attached was a photo of Daniel, taken that morning near the cabin. From the trees, from the shadows. Daniel's heart dropped. "They're still watching." Sarah nodded. "Of course they are." James stood up, calm as ever. "Let them. Well, we're not hiding anymore." But Daniel wasn't so sure. He walked outside into the cold air. He thought of Evelyn, how she always seemed to know when it was time to disappear. He wondered if she was watching this unfold from some quiet corner of the world. He hoped so. The next morning, something strange happened. An invitation arrived, mailed, no return address. Inside, smooth black envelope with a silver stamp and a card with only one sentence. "Come alone. No cameras, no wires, no tricks. We talk. You decide." Bottom had coordinates and a time, midnight. "Tomorrow?" James read it first. "It's a trap," Sarah agreed. "They want you alone so they can finish it quietly." Daniel just stared at the card. "Or," he said, "someone on the inside wants to end this the right way." Sarah crossed her arms. "What if it's Crane?" James said. "Then it's a suicide mission." Daniel looked up at them both. "I have to go." They argued. Of course they did. But Daniel didn't back down. "They erased Evelyn," he said. "They tried to erase me. They're still erasing people. I won't hide anymore. If someone's ready to talk, I'm listening." Sarah, finally, agreed on one condition. "You wear a hidden mic. Audio only, just in case," James added, "and I'll follow. You won't see me, but I'll be close." Daniel nodded. The decision was made. The next night, he walked through an empty field, lit only by the moon. He followed the coordinates to an abandoned train tunnel. Cold wind howled through it. Old tracks ran into the darkness. Daniel stepped inside, flashlight in hand. 50 feet in, he saw her. Woman in a long black coat. Not Raven. Someone older. Her face was sharp. Her eyes colder than steel. She said nothing, just turned and walked deeper into the tunnel. Daniel followed. Finally, they reached a door. She opened it. Inside, a small concrete room, a table, 2 chairs, and sitting in one of them was a tall man. In a gray suit, bald, thin, calm. Eyes like ice, he looked up at Daniel, smiled faintly. "Mr. Kent, I've been waiting." Daniel sat down slowly, his voice low. "You're Hal Crane." The man nodded once. "I am." Daniel's fists tightened. "Why did you do it? Why erase people?" Crane folded his hands. "Because peace is easier than pain. We erase pain, conflict, identity. In exchange, people live quiet lives, obedient ones." Daniel stared at him. "You erased lives," Crane said calmly. "And how many wars did we prevent by silencing the ones who couldn't forget?" Daniel pulled the flash drive from his pocket. "This is out now. You can't stop it." Crane smiled. "Oh, I don't want to stop it anymore." Daniel froze. "What?" Crane leaned forward. "The world already knows." "Do you know what they'll do, Daniel?" He paused. "Nothing." Daniel's voice cracked. "People are protesting. Whistleblowers are coming forward," Crane interrupted. "Cold and quiet. They'll get tired. They'll always do. In 2 weeks, something else will trend. In 1 month, your face will be forgotten. In a year, this entire scandal will be replaced by another." He leaned back, "And we'll still be here, watching." Daniel stood up. "You're wrong." Crane looked up. His smile faded. Then something unexpected happened. Crane reached in too. His coat. Daniel stepped back, but Crane only pulled out a thin folder. He slid it across the table. "This is everything. Every location, every name, every lie. The real file. The core of 432. Daniel stared at it. "Why give me this?" Eyes darkened. "Because I'm done. I built something I can no longer control. If Raven finds out I gave you this, I'm finished." He paused. "But maybe it's time." Daniel didn't speak. He just picked up the folder, then turned, walked out. Didn't look back. Outside, James stepped out of the woods. Daniel handed him the folder. He gave it willingly. Daniel whispered. James opened it, stunned, then looked at Daniel. "You know what this means?" Daniel nodded. "We end it. For good." The file was thicker than any they'd seen. James flipped through its pages by the flickering cabin lantern. Sarah stared at the lines of data on the screen. It wasn't just a list. It was everything: names, locations, lab designs, orders, clearance levels, financial trails. And worst of all, subjects erased permanently. Some crossed out, some labeled recycled, some Still active? Daniel sat silently, his eyes fixed on one name: Evelyn Ross. Beside it, status: unstable, cleared. Voice removed, subject escaped. Do not engage. Sarah's voice broke the silence. "If we send this file out, it'll be the end." James nodded. "Of Zone 432, yes, but also maybe of us." Daniel looked at them both, quiet, calm, then said, "We send it anyway." Sarah worked all night. She cut the folder into 4 main packages: the subject list, the financial records, the doctor logs, the surveillance audio. She programmed them to upload to 5 separate channels at dawn. "We've got 4 hours," she said. "Once it's out, even a global wipe won't kill it." James checked his rifle and stepped outside. He'd felt something since. Nightfall, a shift in the wind. Wait in the trees, Daniel followed. They stood in silence under the stars. The cold air bit at their skin. Then James whispered, "She's near." Daniel didn't ask who. He already knew. Raven, at 4:03 a.m., the forest went quiet. No wind, no birds, no movement, just stillness. And then, snap a twig. Daniel turned. James raised his weapon. Out of the shadows stepped three black-clothed figures, silent, masked, armed behind them. Raven, face calm, dot eyes, sharp. A white feather drifted to the ground. James whispered, "They found us." Daniel said nothing. He stepped forward, laptop in his hand, looking for this. Raven didn't answer. She simply gestured. One of the masked men moved forward. James raised his rifle. "One more step and I fire." Raven paused, then spoke. "Hey, don't need to kill you, Daniel. You've already done our job." Daniel frowned. "What?" Raven looked at the trees, at the sky, then back at him. "By exposing Zone 432, you've only forced it underground. Deeper, harder to trace. You didn't destroy it. You made it invisible." Daniel stepped closer. "No, we made people care." Suddenly, a flash of light. Sarah had turned on the hidden live camera, streaming everything. Daniel shouted, "Say that again, Raven. Tell them." Raven stared at the camera. Then she did something. It's unexpected. She stepped into the light, faced the lens, and said, "Zone 432 was one of many. You think you ended it? You ended nothing." Then she pulled a small silver device from her belt. Daniel recognized it. A signal jammer. She clicked it. Static. The screen went black. The stream died. Gunshots, James. Fired first. Two masked men dropped Sarah. Screamed and ducked behind the cabin wall. Daniel ran for cover. Raven didn't flinch. She walked calmly toward the cabin. Another feather fell. Daniel crawled toward the antenna. If he could just restart the offline upload. Raven stepped into the cabin after Sarah. Inside, Sarah hid behind a shelf, clutching the laptop. Raven walked slowly. "No rush, no panic. You're clever," she said, "but not fast enough." She raised her weapon. Sarah stood, tears in her eyes. "No," she said, "I'm just the distraction." Cracked. A shot rang out from the back window, James. The bullet hit Raven's arm. She dropped her gun. Daniel burst in from the back, tackled Raven to the floor. The jammer flew from her hand. Sarah restarted. The upload bar loading. 12%, 18%, 4%. But Raven wasn't done. She grabbed a blade from her boot, swung it at Daniel, cut his shoulder. Daniel winced, but grabbed her wrist, pushed back. "You erased people like they were nothing," Raven whispered. "They were." James stormed in. "Not anymore." He fired once. The shot hit her chest. Raven gasped, collapsed, silent, still outside. The laptop beeped. Upload. Upload. 100%. The final file was now live. Every server. Every server. Every mirror. Every platform the world would know. Sarah dropped to the ground, crying, shaking. James sat by the door. Bleeding from a cut on his side, Daniel stood alone. Over Raven's body. He looked down at the feather beside her hand. He whispered, "Evelyn, we finished what you started." 1 hour later, the news was everywhere. Full Zone 432 files leaked. Hundreds of agents under investigation. International courts begin. War crime hearings. Victims come forward in droves. No more silence. No more lies. The shutdown had begun. 3 weeks later, Daniel sat alone in a quiet room above an old bookstore in the city. The world outside was loud, angry, confused, awake, but inside this room, everything was still. He stared at his laptop screen, at the flood of news articles, interviews, exposed files. Names were being arrested, leaders removed, whistleblowers. Protected Zone 432 was gone. But something inside Daniel didn't feel finished. Not yet. He opened a drawer and pulled out an envelope he hadn't told anyone about. It arrived too. It's days after Raven's death. No name. No stamp. Just one word written on the front. Daniel. He'd stared at it for hours before opening it. Inside was a USB and a note. "This is the truth you were never meant to find. E." His heart froze. E. Evelyn. He locked the door, closed the curtains, and inserted the USB. No file showed up. Just a simple message on the screen. Play. He clicked yes. The screen went black. Then a video started. Grainy but clear enough, eh? The woman sat in a dark room, pale, tired. Older, but Daniel knew her face. Her voice Evelyn. She looked straight into the camera, not crying, not angry, just calm. She began to speak. If you're seeing this, it means I'm gone, or close to it. I sent this knowing I couldn't stay hidden forever. She took a breath. There's something I didn't tell you, Daniel. Something I couldn't. Not yet. Zone 432 was just one part. One room of a much bigger house. Daniel leaned closer to the screen. Evelyn continued. I was never supposed to escape. But I didn't just run for myself. I ran with knowledge. A secret even most directors didn't know. Zone 432's goal wasn't just memory control. That was practice. The real plan was identity design. Sarah and James entered the room silently, eyes wide, watching the screen over Daniel's shoulder. They were testing how to create. People from nothing. Fake pasts. Fake pain. Controlled memories. Voices built by code and drugs. And if it worked, they could replace real people. Leaders, judges, celebrities, anyone, and no one would ever know. Daniel's hand gripped the chair tightly. Evelyn leaned in closer to the camera. You were supposed to be one of them. Daniel's blood ran cold. Yes, Daniel, you. You weren't just a random man who stopped to help a stranger on the road. We were monitored, chosen, tested. Your memories, they aren't all yours. Some of them were built. But something happened. They didn't expect you started remembering who you really are, Sarah gasped. James took a step back. Daniel said nothing, just stared frozen. Evelyn smiled gently. That's why I trusted you, because the real you broke through, the real Daniel Kent. Stronger than anything they tried to make you into. The video glitched for a second, then Evelyn's face returned, more serious now. Try again. Maybe not tomorrow, maybe not next year. But somewhere, another version will rise. Another zone, another Raven. When they do, you have to be ready. Lost. She leaned back, her final words soft, certain. Thank you for helping. Me find myself again? Now I've returned the favor. Don't forget who you are. The screen went black. Daniel sat silently. Sarah whispered, You were one of them. Daniel shook his head. No, I was supposed to be. But I fought it, James added. And now, you're the reason they lost. Suddenly Sarah's laptop beeped. A new transmission, audio only. He clicked play. Robotic voice read, This is a global priority broadcast. New reports suggest similar memory programs have been found in Europe and Asia. Investigation continues. Watch your leaders. Stay aware. The war on memory is not over. Daniel stood up. Evelyn was gone. Zone 432 was shut down. But the storm was far from finished. He looked out the window, watching the city rise under the morning sun, and he whispered to himself, Let them come. I remember everything now. The world did not return to normal. It couldn't. Not after the truth about Zone 432. Not after the names, experiments, the victims. Not after Evelyn's final message. But something new was beginning. A world that remembered. 3 months passed. Daniel had moved back to the city, where quiet people now ask loud questions. Every week, another article appeared. Every month, another hidden project was exposed. Zone 432 had been the match. But the fire was still spreading. Daniel sat in a small cafe, downtown, reading a paper. On the front page, Memory Survivor speaks at unconference governments admit to 432 style. Programs in 8 countries, thousands join global. I remember March, people had stopped running from the truth. Now they were fighting with it. Sarah had started a foundation. It was called What? It helped victims who couldn't tell what was real anymore. It gave them names, stories, healing. She spoke on liveinterviews.com/brave. Brilliant, James had joined too. He now trained other survivors, many ex-soldiers, how to protect whistleblowers and their families. Daniel stayed quiet, but he never stopped moving. One cold morning, Daniel received a letter. No stamp. No address, only one sentence on the front. Your real name was never Daniel Kent. Inside was a photo, a military ID, a young man in uniform, his face. But the name read, Lieutenant Simon Hart. Daniel stared at it for a long time, his hands trembled. Evelyn had said he was chosen, his past was built, but now, piece by piece, it was returning. And this was the missing piece. Sarah scanned the ID and matched it to military archives. Simon Hart had served in a secret program over 10 years ago. He had reported suspicious memory experiments. Weeks later, he disappeared from all records. Official status, deceased. They had erased him, given him a new name, new memories. A quiet life. But even then, his mind had fought back. And that's why. He had stopped to help Evelyn that rainy night. It wasn't random. It was destiny trying to correct itself. 1 week later, Daniel stood before hundreds of people. A microphone in front of him, journalists, survivors, doctors, activists. He looked. Nervous at first, then he reached into his coat and pulled out something smaller, white feather. He held it up. This was once a symbol of fear. It meant someone was watching you, that you were marked, forgotten. But today it means something else. He paused. It means we remember. The crowd stood, clapped, some cried, some saluted, but no one stayed silent. Later, alone on the rooftop, Daniel looked out over the city. James stood beside him, quiet. Strong Sarah joined them, in her hand. A small framed photo of Evelyn. Her face soft, her eyes brave. Her name cleared. Daniel placed the feather beside the photo. I hope she knows, he said softly. Sarah nodded. She does. James asked, what now? Daniel looked at the stars. Then, at the streetlights below, then straight ahead. Oh, we protect the truth. We listen to every voice. We remember everyone they tried to erase. As dawn lit up the skyline, a banner across the tallest building read, we remember. We resist. The world kept waking up.